Hello, fellow Arkhamites, and welcome back to a new episode of Arkham Archives, the podcast where we get to share our love for Batwoman. My name is Anna, and this week I will be hosting, but if this is your first time listening, we are a trio, so I'm usually joined by my friends Inês and Fran. Sadly, our fellow cellmate Fran won't be joining us today, and you might be wondering if she misbehaved and got stuck in solitary confinement or something. We think that might be a possibility, honestly, but we will have to ask her next week. Meanwhile, Ines and I are here today to talk about the third episode of this season. This season is honestly going by so fast, so this one is called Freeze. So I think we can start by what we like to call villain of the week. So this episode brought to us Mr. Freeze, or better, a canister of nitrogen that belonged to him, and that it was now found by a group of school children on a bus. We also get to meet Nora Freeze, that was frozen in liquid nitrogen that was invented by Victor. Because she is no longer frozen, she ages up drastically and is now an old lady that is living with her sister Dee. The two sisters are made hostages by a group of criminals who want to know what the secret is of cryogenics. I personally really enjoyed this arc. I got really attached to Nora. I thought she was really sweet, but her ending was also very bittersweet because she got to be free and decide what her fate was.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know, Inish, what your thoughts were on Nora, and also what do you think about Mr. Freeze? Did you already know him from the comics?
Yes, I actually did know Mr. Freeze from the comics, but even more so from the Harley Quinn show. Uh, and what I do know is that, he has a brilliant mind, he loves his wife to death, and from what I gathered, the show kept it true to the comics, with Nora having this rare blood disease and
Mm-hmm.
Freeze wanting nothing but to save her at any cost. Even
Yeah.
if sometimes that wasn't at her best interest, maybe. So Harley Quinn actually takes a more funny route with this story, but I mean that's a comedic show, and Batwoman has its funny moments, but it isn't that. So,
Yeah.
and even in the Harley Quinn show, to be fair, it was actually very sad because in the end, Victor ended up sacrificing himself to save Nora. So,
Oh.
even though this isn't the same path Batwoman has taken, his efforts to save her are still very on brand, I think, of what I would expect of him as a character. But I also quite enjoyed Nora. I wasn't expecting us to see Nora looking so old.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that they would explain who she was, and they did, because when they first mentioned her, that was the first Easter egg that I caught this episode. uh, because I was not expecting at all to see her, and I think it was great to have her on the show and to have her, have this storyline that then ties up into what Mary is going through. And we'll get to that soon.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked the way that the writers incorporated the liquid nitrogen into the show, not by having, a literal villain becoming Mr. Freeze 2.0, but by having, people that wanted the thing he created to use it for their own benefit.
Exactly. I was really surprised that in this story we don't get the villain 2.0, but mostly we get something that he created and we get to know a bit of his background, in
Mm-hmm.
this case with Nora, and then we get new criminals that we never had before. So it was another new spin on a villain. Like it seems like in each episode they get to introduce us to these characters, but each time it's in a new and better way, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that they aren't, using the same formula for each villain.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
exactly.
tell that, we are getting some 2.0s, we are getting some weapons that are just being used for mass destruction, or for people's own benefits. We are probably gonna go through either some actual original villains. We know that's the case with Poison Ivy, for example. So it's
Mhm.
like everything is a fresh take. And I really appreciate that. I like when things aren't all one and the same, and Batwoman isn't doing that. So,
Yeah, I was seeing if I wanted to say something else, but I think that's
oh, I
it.
have a side note on it, but personal, opinion. I think that
Hmm.
the criminals we saw in this episode might be working for the Jets. That's my take, because we never got
Hmm.
to know who hired them for the job. So I'm going to
Yeah.
be blaming a lot on the Jets this season.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. We're gonna talk about it later, but with
Mm-hmm.
the brother being so shady, I think like there's a whole involvement of a lot of people there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I know we're both dying to talk about this, so I'm going to skip to the very important topic of Wildmoor because I couldn't keep this topic to the end.
Valid.
Yeah, I was not okay this episode, because one of my favorite tropes in ships is when one of them is almost dying and the other one has to help them, and then we get the nice reward of their bond getting stronger after they get through that traumatic event.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's exactly what happened this week. And I was so excited. I was living for it. And then after that event, that the flirting that happened, first of all, it was amazing. And
Oh,
I
for
love,
sure.
yeah, and I love that Luke made fun of them because, like, oh, so you're really flirting with her, like, you're not hiding anymore. But it was even more amazing because it was after like the tension moment where even the audience was scared, and then you get the reward of them being happy and fun. And I really like that stage that they're in at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's just them having fun and flirting with each other. What do you think? Did you expect this?
What do I think? Fucking Wildmoor is what I think. you know,
Exactly.
I really like that the show he's taking this very trope based route with them. Because first of all, we had that whole enemies to friends arc in season 2. And then this
Yes.
episode sort of paralleled the mid-season finale for the past season, when Ryan's life was also hanging in balance in Koreana, and
Yes. I thought about that.
and Sophie was there for her. So
Yeah.
I really like it, and I like what the writers are doing with it. I had to pause the episode several times while watching it because I wanted to scream at my screen.
Valid.
Thankfully, weekly shout out to Liliana because she was there and I could scream with her instead. um,
And you don't have to hold your thoughts. Like, now we're recording on the same day. For context for everyone, we usually record on Saturday, so we have to wait 3 days or something like that to share our thoughts. And this time we're recording on a Thursday, so we didn't have to wait long.
yeah, I mean, I don't think people understand how this is torture for us because we talk like every single moment of every single day. So
Yeah.
watching the same show and not being able to comment on it has been awful. But we do it because we like the show and we like to share it we like to share our thoughts about it and our love for the show with people, so we bear through it. But it's pretty damn annoying when big stuff happens and we want to talk about it amongst each other and we can't and have to keep tight lip. I mean, I could barely post on our socials because you guys could have seen it and almost did see it.
Yeah. I almost got spoiled. Like, I know we're going off track here, but I need to explain that I get the notifications for the Twitter, and you were, I think, tweeting to the writers what Ryan said to Sophie or something, and I
Yep.
started reading the sentence, and I was like, no, no, okay, close the phone, close the app. You almost got me.
That's mistake number one. No socials before watching the episode.
Exactly.
But yeah,
And so
really.
yeah, we have to comment only by emojis.
Oh
Like
yeah.
after the episode, we can't say anything. Yeah.
And to reel it back in though, I really love these characters. I love all the flirting. I love the flirting in front of Luke. It gave me season 1 vibes.
Yes.
And even though Fran isn't here, I'm sure she'd appreciate it.
Oh yeah, she would love it that they're flirting.
Yeah, and in front of Luke, because I mean that was Sophie and Kate's thing, and
Yeah.
Luke teased Kate endlessly for it. So I liked that little throwback. And I actually don't think either of them has realized that they're catching feelings by now. I think they're, just since they're friends now, I think they're just amping up their antics from the previous season. And I think it's gonna hit them very suddenly. And they're gonna have this "what are we" moment. I mean, Sophie already had it, kind of this episode with the whole "where do we stand" thing, but we both know that
Yeah.
was more about, am I part of the bad team? Do you consider me part of the team? Am I just, someone who's running errands for you at this point? What are we?
Yeah.
What's my place on this team?
She's trying to find her foot in the team, but also it was funny that because Ryan was almost dying, so I think Sophie was like, "Okay, so this is my moment. If something happens, I need to know."
Exactly.
I think it was both. I need to distract her, but also I have an excuse now.
Exactly. And it was pretty great. I loved it. When Sophie, turned around and was like, "You know what? I'm actually mad at you." I was like, "Where is this going?" It was just so good. But yeah, I want the show to keep like milking this tension between the two. But I also don't mind if they rush things a little bit because we talked in, I think, the season premiere, I'm guessing, we talked about how we, would like for them to have like a random hookup or something. And I think that could
Yeah.
still happen, and like I personally would find it interesting to have them like take a few steps forward and then a few steps back, like
Yeah.
they hook up and then they try to excuse it as a one-time thing or something like that, and we all know that's fake and they know that isn't real also.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to whatever way the writers choose to go with them. I'm here for the ride.
Yes. But I hope they don't get serious too fast because, like, I think I said this the last episode, that it doesn't really make sense because they were enemies. So jumping from being enemies to friends and then in a relationship, it seems too fast. Like I'm enjoying this a lot that they're finding their new dynamics. So I hope they keep it fun. So maybe the hookup would be the best idea, and then maybe even they're rushing into a relationship and then realizing, oh, this is not working, like let's go back. I don't know, I like them as a fun ship. I don't see them as a really long stable relationship for now, but that's the dynamic that I like for now. It's not, I don't know if people are gonna judge me for this, but I don't see them as like the soulmate ship, It's more like the fun ship that gets really well together and gets really good scenes. I don't know what you think about it.
I mean, I think you said something very important, and that is you feel that way for now, Because I
Yeah.
remember also when the second season started, we were a bit critical of the show because we didn't want Ryan and Sophie in a relationship solely because Ryan was taking up Kate's place. I remember we were
That's
concerned
true.
about that, and half a season later, that thought was out the window. So I think they have, how do I put this? I think they have it in them to become that ship, but for now I'm definitely enjoying the fun stuff. I'm here to have fun. Batwoman is
Exactly.
our show to just have a good time, So whatever they choose to do, I think they'll do it very well. And I think even if they do something
Yeah.
we didn't exactly want them to do, they always have this tendency of doing it in a way where we end up siding with it. So I'm not too
Hmm.
concerned. But while still on this topic, though, and speaking in favor of future, soulmate type stuff, I couldn't help but notice that in their final scene, at the holdup, Ryan was talking to Sophie about, this idealized version she had of the mom she never got to have. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and Sophie was just sitting there and taking it all in. And, as a viewer, to know that Sophie actually has a mom and her relationship with her mom is nothing like what Ryan was describing, it absolutely
Hmm.
gutted me, and I know that the writers probably wrote that in on purpose.
Hmm. That's a good point.
And I'm choosing to say that they did it on purpose because they owe me reparations for it. But I think they wrote
Hmm.
it that way so beautifully because they didn't have to make that comparison explicit, but you could just tell that it was hanging in the air. I really appreciate it, and I think that the differences between them are what helps in this relationship because so far, even with the whole family stuff, Sophie has, remained very balanced while Ryan was more freaking out about this stuff because Sophie has like this
Yeah.
perspective on things that Ryan doesn't. She had the whole thing about understanding why Ryan's mom made the decision she made and that, they didn't know what her life was back then when Ryan was born. And I think that was like very important because Sophie herself, her life has changed dramatically. So it's nice to see that she kind of balances Ryan in that way. She doesn't let her, freak out too much, or she makes her think about things that she wouldn't think otherwise. And I really value that in this ship.
Yeah, yeah, completely. I loved when she said, "Oh yeah, but you didn't even want to know who your mother was, and now you have all this information. So of course it's a lot to process." When Ryan was freaking out,
Mm-hmm.
and then that last conversation, I didn't think about the comparison, but it makes a lot of sense. I just thought it was Ryan saying what was on her mind and Sophie
Mm-hmm.
listening. But the comparison that you said that Sophie has a mom, but her relationship is so complicated, just kind of proves to Ryan that yeah, she missed out on not having a mom, but also if she had, it doesn't mean that the relationship with her mom would be
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Far from it, maybe. So it was just a way of saying it will be okay, whatever it is. Like,
Exactly.
and from now on, yeah, it's okay if you don't connect with your family and your brother because I'm here and the bad team is here, and it was just really sweet. And I think it brings back the theme of family
Mm-hmm.
that Batwoman explores a lot of found family.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
And I mean, just Sophie being, the common sense filter on this show is really nice.
Always. Okay, so we were talking about Ryan and the brother, so I think it's a good time that we talk about
Mm-hmm.
it. She got to meet her brother, and he has a plan to join forces with her and go behind their mother's back. And I think we all agreed it was pretty shady.
Oh,
Like, I don't
for
think any
sure.
of us thought that was true. Yeah, I think it's just a plan that he has with Jada to take back, I don't know, Ryan and the Bad Team, something like that, or the Wayne Enterprises.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
What do you think?
I agree. Marquise is definitely shady, no doubt in my mind. You are not this nice to someone you just met and just found out is your sister. I'm sorry, you are not.
Exactly.
Just no. Even more so when there's money on the line. I mean, as far as we know, he's the sole heir to, the Jet Empire. So if anything, you'd expect him to be a little hostile towards Ryan because she's
Yeah.
competition. But yeah, no, he's all friendly and just sounds fake, rubs me the wrong way. Even though I have to give props to Nick Cregan, the actor, because even though he's very clearly shady, he's also very freaking compelling as a character. He stole the scene he
Yeah.
was in for me. Like I was just drawn to the character. I want to know more about him. I want to see what the hell he gets into. I'm with it. So yeah, there's that. But I stand by my statement from our previous episode that I think the Jets are most likely the true villains of this season. And I do think they have
Yeah, for sure.
their eyes set on Wayne Enterprises and their technology.
Yeah, for sure. I think the most probable thing is that Marcus has a plan with Jada, and that they're both working together, obviously, to take down Ryan and Wayne
Mhm.
Enterprises. But maybe another plan is that even if what Marcus is saying is true and that he wants to go behind their mother's back, that his plan would be in the end to betray Ryan and take the company for
Mhm.
himself. Because imagine if both of them are heirs, because he now found out that she's the daughter as well, he could have a plan that would unite them to take the company, and then he would betray her to be the sole heir. So he's eliminating the competition by being friendly
Mhm.
first. Yeah, so either way, I can trust him.
Oh, I feel that.
I also was wondering, because we talked about it now, that the villains that are appearing this season are part of the Jets. So that would make sense if he's working with the mother. So I keep seeing hints that you might be right, like we might be right, that they're all working together and it's all a big villain, like the new villains each episode, plus Marcus
Mhm.
plus Jada.
I actually think, that the Jets are both the villains, but I think, because Jada looked a little bit scared this episode, I think that Marky's whole plan of like going behind his mom's back and stuff like that, I think he might actually be getting ready to double cross both his mom and Ryan.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
think
like
as well.
he's telling his mom that he's getting close to Ryan to get Wayne Enterprises, but in reality he wants to get Wayne Enterprises and his mom's company. So
Hmm.
I think it's gonna be, an interesting season. Definitely a challenging season for Ryan. But I'm looking forward to it. And CEO Ryan outfits for the win.
Yeah, also kind of related to this, I found it curious that when Ryan was telling Jada, why don't you want people to know that I'm your daughter? Why are you scared? And I noticed, like, yeah, Jada is scared. That's a bit suspicious. Why would she be that scared? I still don't understand. I think there's a puzzle piece that's missing somewhere, and that's going to be revealed
I mean,
soon.
she did have an affair, so
Yeah, but
with
it
who?
seems like a more intense reaction. Yeah, exactly. It seems like there's a secret that's more than just an affair, because, yeah, it might be bad for her image, but it's not that bad. She looked
Mhm.
terrified when Ryan was speaking with her about it.
She really did. And I'm wondering because it was kind of implied that that Marquis's dad knew about the affair. So
Yeah.
I'm really curious if we are going to find out who Ryan's dad, her bio dad is. Because it might actually be a villain out of the roster of villains we have this season.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
make sense.
it would be kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie. I hadn't actually given it much thought until now, but I have no idea where it's going, and I'm excited to find out.
Yeah, but I think it's going
Oh, it's going.
somewhere. Like, I think there's a lot of
Yeah,
hints.
it's going
Yeah.
somewhere for sure. It's not like the Batwoman writers to leave things hanging.
Yeah, and it seems like maybe Marcus knows about it as well, and maybe it's a part of his plan. I don't know. It seems like he knows more than
Mm-hmm.
we do. Yeah.
He definitely knows more than he's letting on, for sure.
Yeah, he's very shady, and I'm interested to know more. Like, I really like this
I'm
character.
interested. You got my attention.
Yes. Okay, moving on, I wanted to talk a little bit about Mary as well this episode, because I think we talked about the Bat team splitting up, that it might be happening this season. And of course, that has to start with Alice. Like this episode, she of course started saying things to make Mary feel not important, and it's gonna make Mary question her role in the team. And yeah, I think what contributed to that as well in this episode was one, Sophie being in the place that was Luke's in the computers and helping them, and then Luke not listening to her when she was telling him, why did you go to the field? Don't you think it's dangerous? And him just doing what he wants. So yeah, I really felt for Mary. And then of course that ending where she gets kidnapped by Poison Ivy, I think that's gonna be interesting. So we might get to a situation where, of course, now they have to save Mary the next episode. But then I think when she comes back, there's gonna be some kind of revolution over there because she's gonna be pissed.
I mean, we'll see. I picked the promo for the next episode, and I think there's gonna be a lot going on. But
Yeah, I didn't see it, so I
I
don't
mean,
know.
all I can say is that Mary appears in the episode, next to our other characters. So I'm thinking Poison Ivy actually lets her go, especially because the photos
Oh.
from the episode don't make it look like anyone's going after Mary. So yeah, I think
Interesting.
Poison Ivy won't actually be, a villain this season. So I'm excited to see that. But, Mary.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm imagining Mary saying, "Oh, you didn't even have to go save me." Poison Ivy just let me go, and her being really pissed about it as
That would be
well.
so funny, but
That would be so
it would.
Mary.
But Mary needs to be protected at all costs, is the take from literally
Yeah.
every season so far. And I do agree that Alice is the catalyst for a possible split in the Bat team, but I also don't think she was entirely wrong in what she said. She was,
Yeah,
she
for
was
sure.
poking at some insecurities Mary might have, or, creating those insecurities within her, planting the seed, but she was not wrong. Ryan and Luke acted exactly the way she thought they would act. So it's kind of frustrating, but I also believe that, Mary did the right thing by putting the team before whatever relationship she might have with Luke. I think she was,
Yeah.
very brave for doing that and very honest in her, in her caring for everyone in that team. Because ultimately, keeping that secret, even though Luke did help Ryan this episode, we both know keeping that secret could have been very dangerous because he did help. But what would happen if something had happened to him? Then they wouldn't just have Ryan to save, they'd
Exactly.
have Ryan and Luke to get back safely to the Batcave. So it could have gone either way. Thankfully for them, it went the best road possible. But Mary wasn't wrong, and I'm kind of frustrated
Yeah.
that Ryan brushed it off. Because we all get that she needed Luke in that moment, but they got lucky. Is what they got.
Yeah, Mary said that not even because she likes him, but because she's a doctor. Like, it's in her values that she has to put everyone's safety and health before their work. And this is his work, and he was risking his life. And that must have been really hard. And I honestly wasn't expecting her to just let it go like she did. I thought she would insist a lot, but I think that's gonna break her a little bit inside. And I'm really sad for Mary. But I'm also hopeful that this season she might have a bigger arc than she had in other seasons in terms of character development, because when she's feeling left out, she's gonna create new ways to interact with the team and to have new dynamics and new discussions with the team. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm sad for Mary, but I'm excited because it seems like she has a more interesting arc this season.
And I mean, even if the Bat team does split, we know that won't be forever, and all the characters will come out stronger for it. And I think Mary might really need to stand her ground on this and demand to be listened by their team. A lot like Ryan did in the previous season, you know?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
But yeah, as far as Mary goes, I think her relationship with Alice will be a highlight of this season.
Yes, but now for now it hurts because I was also remembering that thing that Alice said that oh yeah, I was hallucinating the letters that Jacob wrote, but you were so jealous because you thought he was writing to me and not to you. And it was like, yikes, Alice, please stop. That's when she said the daddy issue stuff, like as a joke, but it's true. Like Mary is still traumatized just at the thought that Jacob still cared more about Alice than he did about her. And so that also impacts her. It's another way in her life that someone is leaving her behind, not behind, but to the side, like the supposedly the team is doing.
Yeah, we mentioned in the season premiere, I think, that we wanted Batwoman to keep diving deep into Alice's mental health problems. I think the show really is delivering on that end little by little. And this episode really showed that. And I think it also showed for the very first time honest concern for Alice from Mary.
Yes.
I'm kind of sad that it took, that it took her getting this bad for people to actually care about her and, realize that it's actually pretty serious what she's going through. But
Yep.
I think that Mary will try to help her, and I just have to say I have to collect this, but I was right. Mary's gonna be the first person to get close to Alice this season. I'm collecting my win from our first episode.
Oh yeah, that's true. I was thinking it was gonna be Ryan, but then that team up is not working that well because Alice keeps getting locked either in the Batcave or they send her back to Arkham. So clearly, her only times with anyone in the team is with Mary on their consultations or in the doctor's office. So, yeah, but I think it's an interesting dynamic. I just wasn't expecting it. I really was expecting a lot of time with Ryan on the field, but they're not even getting to the field together for now, so I guess
Yeah.
not.
And I think at some point Alice will accept Mary's help because
Yeah, I hope
yeah,
so.
I mean, because she also is kind of aware that, these are hallucinations, but unlike what happened with Jacob's letters, I think she's aware that she's hallucinating.
Yeah, yeah, for
So
sure.
she might, want to seek help and accept the help that Mary offered her. And I think that's really going to be, crucial to them bonding and becoming sisters. I want to see them as besties.
Yeah,
We are kind of crazy because we've been wanting this since like the first season when Alice when Alice
literally.
killed Mary's mom.
That's been my dream friendship ship. Let's call it like that since season one, because that would be the most amazing arc from I killed your mother to okay, now I help you as
Exactly.
sisters.
I mean, it's so much fun. No one can blame us for wanting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for it and I feel really sorry for Alice. I think her problems will keep escalating, especially if she doesn't ask for help. But it's gonna be
Yeah.
fun to see kind of how it might affect her contributions to the team. She might, not be all there at all times and mislead the team, not on purpose, but
Oh, that's definitely gonna
yeah,
happen. Like we said in the first episode, somewhere this season, she's gonna see something, it's not there, and it's gonna fuck up for the
yeah.
whole team, the mission. For sure.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. But I also want the show to take this seriously and get Alice the help she needs. I think we'll get a bit of both, and
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I'm a bit sad though that I know that Alice doesn't want to accept the help, but also Gotham keeps sending her back
Oh
to
yeah.
Arkham. So how does that work? Like next episode she's back again outside and then they throw her back in again. It's kind of a weird arrangement, but okay. She should be getting the help she needs somewhere else, but
Yeah.
okay. I think their environment is not good for someone that is already
Oh, definitely.
hallucinating.
I mean, it's Arkham. But I think their arrangement is sort of like Alice gets out of her cage anytime there's a case that needs solving, and once that's done with, it's back to Arkham. And that's kind of sad, but
Yeah, but she doesn't even help them because they keep
exactly.
her locked in the Batcave, and in this episode she was like, "No, I'm not helping you." And then who was it? Was it Luke that said, "Oh, I know where that is."
It was.
Right? It was him, I think. Yeah. So she didn't even do anything to help the team
Yeah,
this
she was
episode.
just there to annoy Mary, and I think that's very valid of her, actually.
It's just typical Alice. That's her role,
Exactly.
actually. She was there actually to just tease Mary about liking Luke, and that was amazing. I was like, yes, Alice, I knew I could count on you
And
for
to
this.
threaten old ladies, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that happened. Yeah.
And Nora was like,
And actually, so funny when she was like, that wouldn't be so bad, actually. That was so funny when she said, "Oh, so you actually want me to kill you? Oh, that's not fun." Like,
what a mood.
I'm not threatening you now.
What a mood.
Oh, Nora was amazing. I really liked her
Same.
interactions.
I'm sad we probably won't get to see more of her, but oh well. It was good while it lasted.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, is that everything we want to say about Alice?
Yep.
Okay, so I guess I just want to ask you if there's anything we didn't talk about that you
Oh,
want to
there
talk
is one
about.
thing I want to mention. So
Okay.
there were several Easter eggs in this episode, and we talked about Nora.
Ooh.
We already talked about Poison Ivy at the
Mhm.
end of the episode. That we are gonna have to keep that conversation for next episode. But we also got an honorary Captain Cold shout out. But we already know and
Yes.
love him from The Flash, so that wasn't the it moment for me. What really stood out for me was the Ace Chemicals mention, because
Mhm.
in the
Oh.
comics, Ace Chemicals is the place where both the Joker and later on Harley, fully transitioned into these maniacs.
Oh, that's the place. Yeah, I know
Exactly,
what you're
like we
talking
see it,
about.
we saw it in
Okay.
the first Suicide Squad, I think, especially in the director's cut.
Wasn't
Yeah,
it Birds of Prey as well? No.
yeah, I think because Harley blew
Yeah,
up Ace
I think I
Chemicals. Yeah.
remember.
So we saw it in the first Suicide Squad, then Birds of Prey. I saw it also on the Harley Quinn show, and it was pretty fun to see it in Batwoman, even though they really didn't like explain it like they did with Nora. It was a cute little, not cute, but a fun little nod to people who are into the lore of DC Comics.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know that place, but then when you said what it was, I remember it clearly, and it's definitely cool nods to the fans. I love when they do that. Even though because I don't read the comics, I just read the mentions after. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. But at the moment, I completely miss it.
Yeah, and I think that's
Is that
it. I
all?
think there's not much more to unpack this episode, so surely the upcoming episode will have a lot more for us to talk about. I can already tease something. I'm not sure you want to know it, but I'm gonna assume you do.
I mean, sure.
We'll see.
Like it as well.
Little spoiler, but it's in the promo if you watched it. So if you didn't, just mute the stream for now.
Skip
Skip
ahead.
like 15 seconds ahead, maybe 30 for good measure. But in the next episode, we see the return of a character I think we talked about last episode in our podcast.
I'm just going, what are all the characters I love? Is it this one? Is it this one? Who did we mention? Is it Julia?
Unfortunately, no. I miss Miss Pennyworth though.
Yeah, I want her back. Oh, is it spoiler?
Also, no.
What did we mention?
It's kind of a minor character, but who struck a chord in our hearts, I guess. But it's Sophie's sister. That's coming up next episode.
Yes! Oh my my
We're gonna
god.
be seeing Jordan Moore again, and
Yes.
I'm very happy about
Oh,
that.
I love her. I wasn't expecting it to be her because I thought she was gonna stay in season 2, but I'm excited.
So yeah, we have that to look forward to next
Yeah, I
episode.
hope we get some teasing of Sophie's sister with the flirting, or like Sophie telling her about Ryan, something about that. I'm
That
excited.
has to happen. It's law.
Yes. Yes, that's why she's coming back actually.
No other reason
They
necessary.
just need to talk, obviously. Okay, guys, I think that's a wrap. We hope it was a good episode, since it's just the two of us. And like we said, we're recording this at night, so our English was not very good this episode, sorry. We want to take a quick moment to thank everyone that listened to the
Hell yeah.
podcast or that interacted with us on social media. Yeah, we are having so much fun with this project, and the fact that some of you are enjoying it and listening as well is really nice. So make sure to join us next week for a new episode. And as always, you can follow us on our socials at Arkham_archives, both on Twitter or Instagram, or through our YouTube channel, Arkham Archives Podcast. Okay, see you for our next appointment.
Bye bye.
Bye.